Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike and Laurent. It is Tuesday, May 10th, for real this time. In this episode, Liverpool keep pace, City recover from Europe, and Leeds are in deep, deep trouble. But first, Mike, how does it feel to be a fan of the team that saved the world? Spurs.
Yeah, it's been fun watching everybody root for Spurs and, having the Liverpool fans on the bandwagon for all the years, beating City twice and all. And I revel in the moments where I get to feel like Ari Gold, like enough of a prick and a motherfucker like Ari Gold. And this is one of those moments where he busts into the meeting, he erases the whiteboard, and he writes, "Get the fuck out." And he turns around and he goes, "You're fucking fired. And in case your ears are fucked, get the fuck out." So that, my friends, is how we'd like to start the show, with me saying that to all of the scouse pieces of human garbage, starting and ending with your furious German lab rat leader who couldn't stop bitching about the fact that how dare
Spurs
Hotspur
play to win?
The meme going around is that now the new rule starting next season will be everyone will have to call Jurgen Klopp on Thursday before the game and divulge their entire strategy to the man so that he can be properly prepared. Are you fucking kidding me? Right?
I have to give, Spurs, we have two, admittedly, Liverpool and City are great teams in the history of the Premier League. This 4-year run, not giving fucking Liverpool that extra season when they had 85 points. Fuck off. But Spurs this season have taken 8 points off of them. 2 draws versus Liverpool and 2 wins versus mighty Manchester City. Mm-hmm. One of them was the first weekend of the season. Ferran Torres started at starter, who actually
but we didn't have Kane, so I don't want to hear it for that because of you fucks. So that's a legitimate win, even though we had Nuno. Out of all of the things back in August, it counts, okay?
So let's do the scores, then we'll get into all of it. Okay, scores. So we're already on Tuesday. The weekend started with Arsenal defeating Leeds. They bossed this, but Leeds somehow hung in and then imploded. I don't know what Erling was doing. He tried to kill someone, and then Melier, whatever. And Nketiah, looks like there's a striker involved. West Ham smashed Norwich. Norwich are gone. They're done. They're finished. They're in another place. Everton with a road win, their first in 8 months. They defeat Leicester City 1-2. Again, more Pickford, more incredible, more Everton. Everton looked to be safe. Then City get off the schneid. The sadness is washed away. There's a different mentality with City. They kill Newcastle United at home. And then today, just played, Aston Villa 1, Liverpool 2. This was a feisty affair, but Gerrard's boys can hold their heads up high. Mane with the reverse backward header on a flat cross to put Liverpool ahead. But Danny Ings, come on, man. You got to put those away.
So he was offside.
A draw would have been a fair result.
He was offside like 4 or 5 times, and then the one he had where it was shit touch and Allison jumped the shark and grabbed the ball before he could get another touch. But I mean, this is one of those games. Now, take the narrative and the nonsense out of it. This is one of those games that if you're Liverpool or you're City and you're a champion, you go out and you find a way to win.
And they did.
And I think that's what Liverpool did.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was interesting that Klopp left it pretty late to bring on Salah. And I think it might have been after the 2-1 goal even.
No, it was after. It was in the 72nd.
Yeah. I was surprised he let Diaz. Diaz had a bit of Lamella to him in this game. And what I mean by that is he had a bunch of tricks on the sideline. It meant fuck all. And he didn't really do much. Although I think he ended up having the assist to Mane for the winner. But aside from, and that's actually quite Lamella. It's out of nothing brilliance, right? So I
think the big news out of this game is that Fabinho's got a hamstring. Yes. He could miss some games. It's getting tight for Liverpool. They're getting salty because when you get down the stretch in this season, we still have some compression. There's still, as much as we want to forget COVID, there's still a lot of contracted constricted game schedules playing, and they don't get any breaks. They're playing again. They're playing the FA Cup final. Then they're playing the final weeks of the season. Then they're playing the Champions League final. So they're just going and going and going. And I think at some point the draw against Spurs probably broke Klopp a little. They're a little bit salty. Yeah. They're a little bit saucy. It's coming from Pep now too. Pep putting out both six guns, blam, blam, blam. He's like, well, Champions League, we would have loved to have won. We're sad. Liverpool, they have all the history. They have all the Champions League finals. They don't do well in the Premier League. Just one win in 30 years. I was like, you
that was a good one. That was a good one. And you know what? Good on him, because Jurgen Klopp has done this for years now, where he bitches and moans anytime he doesn't get his way, anytime he doesn't have a schedule.
He's a sore loser, which is okay. You want your coach to be a sore loser.
Okay, fine. But you have to call him on what he is. Right? So how dare we say that the great Saint Jurgen Klopp is a sore loser?
Saint Klopp of Mersey.
Yeah, right. So, there's just so much that is forgiven for the Reds, and we've always held them to it, but it was fun to see. And what have we always said Manchester City is missing is that piss and vinegar, that personality, right? And so and to be fair, we have always said it more or less is always coming through Pep, and he's had his tiffs and his bullshit, the Harry Kane team comment and losing to a team without Harry Kane.
I think sometimes you don't realize it, but you listen to Pep talk. His English is still pretty shitty, and he says things, and he still struggles. And I think Klopp too. But it makes it more interesting that they say that they talk weird, and you're like, what the fuck is he talking about? I don't know what he's saying. Or Conte too, right? So Conte did have his shots back. He was like, you can, when you lose, sometimes you want to have an alibi. And he was like, listen, I admit it. At Burnley, I was ready to quit and kill the whole team. So at least he has some level of like self-reflection of just like these managers. I don't think any of it is malevolent. They're just like in the moment, someone puts a mic in their face and they're pissed off.
They're pissed off. I think that it's telling though, right? And this is not necessarily me coming from pro Spurs side, but looking at Conte when he was at Chelsea, even he would throw anybody under the bus that he felt it was, and it wasn't in a Mourinho type way. It was like, yo, Rudiger, you played like shit today, man. Like that guy was yours and you met, and like, you know what I mean? So he's not going out of his way to throw players under the bus. They're already pretty much under it, right? And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's."
But when he loses, the complaints about we need at least 9
players,
3 defenders.
Right.
Another Hurricane. This I may not be able to stay. He's like,
right,
come on, dude, take it easy.
Yeah. So no, you're right. He absolutely has his moments as well, but like,
yeah. And Klopp too. It's just like the schedule, the games. We can't do it.
Making an excuse that your team isn't good enough. Most of the time, A, is factual, but B, it's just talking shit about your own guys. It's not making excuses for your own guys. It's explaining, no, it was definitely them. Those guys right there. That's the reason we lost.
But
today.
You're supposed to protect the players, right? With Klopp's thing, it was more this like, listen, it's great how they played. I could never play like that. I could never coach a team defensively. That would be against me. I just don't like it. It's not for me. You can do it, but I don't like it. I mean, essentially, it's one of these things where it's just like it goes down. I feel like it goes down to almost these nationalistic levels where it's just like it's fucking Italians with their defensive football. I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean? Like in Germany, we went offensive. We had Das Reboot. You know,
it's as if he's never seen a team play like that against Liverpool before.
Yeah, but not
he's never gotten
quality.
Of course not. Right. They're not.
No, they're world class.
They're good at it. Right. Get the fuck out of here. To see the grin come off of his face, if only for a moment, it really did feel good. When we beat you guys on opening day, amidst all of the Kane stuff, and we said it at the time, like that felt like the stadium won the game that day, right? Like we walked into Anfield and said, we're not fucking afraid of you. And by the way, most of the games at Anfield the last 5 years, not that Tottenham have had formidable results there, but
they always play really well.
It was a really good, it's a good performance and a hell of an entertaining match. And we had another one on Saturday. So I knew that it would be one of those. I was hopeful that we would get a point, even though that doesn't really mean a whole lot. as it pertains to the top four. It frankly is 2 points drop for Tottenham. But knowing that where has your season gone? Where has your season gone? That felt pretty good on the way out.
Well, I mean, Tottenham still sit 4 points behind Arsenal, and you do have the great and powerful London Derby coming up. But I do want to give some shrift to City. City go to Newcastle in a game that narrative-wise, they had no right to play as well as they did. But City just are metronomic. They are mentality monsters in a different way. I feel so. This is where I want to go with it. I feel bad that people can't really appreciate how good the team is. It seems like if they lose, it's something went wrong. If they win, they're supposed to win. There's really no winning with City. I don't know how we'll get there. I don't know what'll happen. I've been grasping and talking to people on Twitter about, this is the anniversary of Main Road closing. And one of the things I grab on is to like, is it that City doesn't have their home? Like, you think about Anfield and you think about the Bernabeu and you think about Barcelona and you think about, Old Trafford. If City was at Main Road all this time, would it mean something else? And I don't know anything about it. I wasn't watching football then, but I just think your home, your fans, your whatever. I don't know. Tottenham didn't have lots of wins in White Hart Lane, but they made a stadium that fit in, so it doesn't feel as bad. I don't know. Maybe I'm not a Spurs. I don't know some of the things, but I really feel like the Etihad is really a shit stadium and doesn't really capture how good the team are. City just put 5 past, and that 5 really makes a difference. I think they poured it on intentionally. They now have a +4 goal difference with 3 games to go, which I think is huge. In terms of the play part. So today, City really have a 4-point lead unless Liverpool have a big result against somebody soon. But I do want to get more into Pep's saltiness. He's really been taking on some of the attacks that City get thrown at him. And he's just been like, you know what? Enough is enough. Like, yeah, we lost to Real Madrid. They beat us. They have a bigger club. They have a bigger team. Then he has the audacity, and this was the best one, the audacity to say the media wants Liverpool to win and everybody hates City.
Yeah, that was
I really wish that City fans would embrace this and just go full fucking Millwall and be like, no one likes us and we don't care.
What is your alternative at this point, right? Like,
I think but that's not, City doesn't have that. We're a lovable loser. We're the Cubs. Do you know what I mean? Like,
whoa, hold on. No, you're not. The Cubs, imagine if Ricketts
historically.
Yeah, historically.
Not
the thing about England,
period, but the
thing about England is that they went, oh, hey, we have 100 years of history. None of it matters. They're only going to track since 1991 anyway. So, like, we
have no history then.
Yeah, and that's the point, right? Like, I think the SB Nation blog for Chelsea is called "We Ain't Got No History," right? Like, so they sort of own it. Now they have history that the owner that made them relevant was a war criminal. So that's pretty cool. You can kind of harken back to that. He just
stole what was being stolen.
He's a pirate. Pardon me.
Yes,
he wasn't a war criminal. He was a pirate.
Did what he was supposed to do. Listen, we're doing intersectionality. He's a Jewish refugee.
I don't give a shit.
Now.
Well, now.
He lives in Israel on his yacht. Abramovich we're talking about. But Chelsea do have their owner. I think we should sort of mention that. Looks like
this was fun for me. So Todd Bailey, this is his first game at Stamford Bridge. I think the paperwork, maybe the ink is still fresh on it, but it had been signed. He's taking in the game. And Chelsea comes out flying, right? And I think they're up 2-0 on Wolves. Yeah. And I was bouncing back and forth between this and what other game? Brentford. And I was watching the two of them kind of simultaneously. And I didn't see Wolves come all the way back, but just until the end. And then I turned it back on for the late equalizer. This makes 4 times in a row that I've bet on Chelsea and they fucked me at the end. But the best part of the game for me, without a doubt, was the VAR check in the middle of the first half. It was a Rudiger goal. It was kind of a bouncing back and forth off of a corner, pinball around, and Rudiger's offside. It doesn't go in. So it's called a goal on the field. And amidst the VAR check, when they rule it out, they chalk it off. They cut immediately to Todd Bailey, who's like he looked a little bit like the Travolta meme from Pulp Fiction, and he's just like, oh, what, and it smacked every second of dumb American doesn't know the rules, but like now that's going to be
also VAR in stadium is bad. And I just realized that I did not pick up the Saturday scores as I was going through it because I realized I didn't get to do my Schadenfreude about Brighton. So let's just finish up.
For you. Go for it.
Yeah. So Palace beat Watford. Watford are down. They're gone. They're buried. The beloved Brentford win 3-0 over Southampton. Southampton secretly in the relegation zone somehow. They've been that bad. We didn't even notice. They've only have one win in their last 15 or something. Chelsea 2, Wolves 2, like you just discussed. Burnley lose to Aston Villa. So Aston Villa almost had 2 wins on the bounce. But the game I want to talk about was Brighton 4, Manchester United 0. That was very, very bad and poor. It was a spectacular display by my beloved side piece Brighton, who really just show all the rots, all the warts, all the holes, all the terribleness of United. But it was really about
spectacular is the word for both sides, without question.
Spectacularly bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have thought like if they had swapped uniforms, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's the most storied franchise in all of English football, lighting up some team who are
you'd be like, mid-table. Oh wow, that United played a little bit out of their shoes today. 4.
Well, I mean, Danny Welbeck was on the team. You might as well been right. You might as well been Ferguson's United.
4. Wow, good for them. All right, that's a good performance. And then you go, wait a minute, what?
What team is this?
Yeah.
So that was enjoyable, and I shout out to John Santana, who actually listens to the show and chose Manchester United just as he became a soccer fan because he wanted a team that won. And he asked his dad, who was a winner.
Oh, John.
As he was picking his soccer team. And that was like, Chicharito, he's a Chicano, he's a Mexican-American. He's like, yeah, United win all the time after being a Dodger fan and just kind of losing all the time until recently. And now he's stuck with United.
Funny how that works. Maybe he prayed to a false god.
I am not praying to the false gods anymore. No more false gods. They hurt me they killed me on fucking on Forest, who now have to play Sheffield United in a playoff, who are actually good. They were just in the Premier League.
John, do us a favor. If you're out there, and thank you for listening, please don't follow your friend Laurent. Do not worship false idols. It will lead you astray, my friend.
Oh, poor Johnny.
I almost dived right into my Lord and Savior Harry Kane, and I stopped myself.
Yeah. But in other big news, as I sort of jumped around missing scores because we're so organized, there was some big transfer news. It looks like Harry Kane is never going to leave Spurs
for another year
because Manchester City have signed Erling Haaland. What? Holy shit!
Yeah. Which, by the way,
for a whopping £55 million release.
Wow. This is okay. So the only thing
we sold Ferran Torres for, we traded him for Erling Haaland.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? Like everybody's gonna sit here and be like, "Oh, Man City, fuck this. This is nonsense, dude." If they tripled that number and went back to Daniel Levy for Harry Kane, they would have said no, it's not enough money. So understand that, like. Okay, I appreciate that you hate the fact that capitalism works, but at the same time, it is your team could have afforded this too. The problem is that Erling Haaland didn't want to go to your team, so you can't really give them that much shit for it, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry. The only thing I get, and this isn't even really a point of contention either, but it is an annoyance. Like, wait until after the season.
It's how the Germans do it.
I understand, but at the same time, like, it's so, to me, and this is how the NBA does it too, where like the player movement is more of a story than the games, and not in
the Premier League. In basketball, it absolutely.
But that's what I mean. Not in the Premier League. So this is sort of an atypical transaction that happens.
It is weird.
Before the end of the season for next season. It wasn't like if it was in the January transfer window, like that's weirdly okay. I don't know.
Yeah, because then they just loan him back and he comes back later.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I just
It's odd. It's odd timing.
I didn't like it. Look, and what I'll say is this: if you have nothing to play for, if you're West Ham or United or Newcastle or Newcastle's who you probably should have been worried about with this, right? But like, if it's a team who has nothing really left to gain, it's like, okay, you're running out the string and you're debuting your kits for next year so you can sell them a little bit earlier. I get it. Mm-hmm. But Man City's got it all to play for still.
Yeah.
So that felt a little bit disingenuous with regard to this, frankly, thrilling title race that we're in.
Yeah, and I think the Haaland thing is the funny thing. So I'm going to do more narrative complaining. On Sky, all of a sudden they started talking about salary and full value of the contract. They're like, well, it's not really 60 million. It's really 250 million. On no other team, on no other transfer does anyone talk about the full contract. Ever. But City, the narrative is that we spend money, and fine, we did. No one will ever stop and say, City did spend money. They are also, in addition to spending money, and I'll put Liverpool in this and Spurs to a lesser extent, they're also the two best run clubs in all of England. Like, City planned to have Pep 3 years in advance. City planned to have, like, I've been saying this, Grealish is KDB's replacement. Yes, they paid $100 million one season and now they're getting someone else. But if you go, but when they turn it over and KDB's 32, they're not going to miss a beat, right? Or it'll be Foden. So they're planning ahead all the time. Now they've got the tool that they had. Listen, they weren't going to pay over the odds for Kane. They played a game of chicken with Spurs. They made their assessment and they said, this is our number. Take it or leave it.
And Levy kind of rolled up the middle finger and they went back to Manchester and then they lost twice in this season. But
yes, we did lose twice.
All you need to know is, and I didn't want to follow you down this rabbit hole, but I'm right behind you now, is, like you said, they are not the only team who spends money. And Liverpool play on what comparatively could be construed as a shoestring budget or whatever. Didn't they just drop just about Erling Haaland money on Luis Diaz? So there's that piece. But Liverpool balance the books, right?
Yeah, but it's not to denigrate them. It's like these City are a super duper well-run club. And all the financial fair play stuff is from this period in 2014 and 15 where they did have the infractions. They did pay a fine. But weirdly, the German magazine Der Spiegel, who has a vested interest in playing by the rules because they have this one team that actually runs that newspaper that just wants Bayern Munich to be able to just keep winning. And this is the way it's done. Listen, that's not the way it's done. I'm sorry. We're doing it a different way. Okay. It keeps leaking everything.
And so looking at it on the European scale, that makes sense. Okay, fine. But you don't even have to leave the city to find a team that spends almost as much money on them. And they're 28 points behind them with 2 more games played
on the way down.
Going in the wrong direction. So
right.
So
or even but not to be equally and fair and kind, right? In Merseyside itself, there is a team that has spent as much as Liverpool and almost got relegated in Everton. They spent nearly $500 million on players over the last 4 years, and they're awful.
Yep.
And that same amount of money, I give credit to Liverpool. They took that Coutinho thing, that $160 million. They took it as a moment. They were like,
"Isn't that on display today?"
Unbelievable! It basically funded the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. Klopp gets there. It's all connected. Klopp gets there. He sees Coutinho as a good player. Neymar moves to fucking PSG for $250 million, and the money burns a hole in Barcelona's pocket. They signed Dembele, who essentially funds Bayern to get Haaland, and it funds Liverpool.
Dortmund, yes,
right. Sorry. And then Liverpool basically take the Coutinho money, buy Van Dijk, Alisson, and Mane, or they already had Mane and Salah. And Salah was cheap; he was like $45 million. But
he was like 25. He and Son came for about the same price.
Good for them. It's not
absolutely nobody's sitting here saying, "How dare you, Liverpool?" What we're saying is, "Hey, Liverpool, phenomenal job." You can argue that they run their ship even better than Manchester City, given that don't have that extra. City, they don't have that extra shelf to reach for.
There's $300 million in center backs floating around Europe. I don't even know their names anymore. They're out there, right? There's Otamendi and Mangala and Nastasic.
Angelino.
Well, they actually sold him.
Yeah, that's true.
But he's good. He's on Leipzig. He's a story of a good deal.
I saw him. Yeah.
What I give credit to Liverpool for is they extract really good fees. I don't know who their negotiator on the way out is, but they do a really good job there. Like I was looking at Rhian Brewster for fucking 25 million
30,
to Sheffield,
something like that. Yeah.
He scored 3 goals in 3 seasons. Just like Jesus. Right? Whereas City just like take a loss on every single guy. And you're like, Jadon Sancho, 100 million. 2 years later, you're like, that was we got that one wrong. But we did get a payment on that one. So United actually probably helped us buy Erling Haaland without us knowing.
Sure. But no,
anyway.
It's just what we talk about on the show a lot. We try to look a little bit deeper. And actually, I chatted with the guys on the Daily Show, by the way, the Chop Sports Daily Show, which you should listen to every day at 11 a.m. Eastern. They don't do much soccer. I actually came on, did a hockey segment with them, and it was after that.
Did? Nice.
Yeah, I did. Last week. It was after the Rangers had lost in 3 overtimes, and there was a controversial call and whatever. And I went, well, I don't want to talk about the referees. I want to talk about how the Rangers were unholy, possessed in the first period, and for 5 periods after that, going into 3 overtimes, they were soulless. So what happened here? Like, how do we break that down? How do we understand? And that's, I think, what we try to do on this show a lot, where we go, yeah, I mean, yes, Spurs played on the counter, but here's actually why they were able to frustrate Klopp to the point where he peed his pants on national television, right? So I think that we try to go a little bit deeper. And when media's I guess talking heads or other shows or whoever, they take the shortcut that is just so fucking easy, I get angry at that. I like, because here's the thing. We've adopted this. We've been football fans for
at the most 15, 20 years.
At maximum, like you said, 15 years, right? Yeah. Probably cumulative. If we have 25 years behind us, I think that's probably a little bit generous. And that's okay. Yeah. But if you are someone who's a lifer, who's grown up with this, as we have American sports, me with hockey and baseball, right?
Same.
I get frustrated because this is an opportunity for me to appreciate your knowledge that I frankly don't have. And I can kind of soak some of that up. I can be a better fan by listening to people who know their shit.
There aren't any. They run the same fucking tropes.
That's the thing that always gets me.
There's literally on The Athletic a podcast called Football Cliches, where they just talk about the same 5 things that people say all the time. You know, they literally could do a whole show just on things people say about football and the moments that it happens. And they go, oh, they used it there. Isn't that a great time to make fun of this or that or whatever? Or just like, listen, I love Mika Richards and I love that he laughs and he's fun.
He's fun.
He doesn't offer anything, but he's a City guy. So now we have a City pundit who will be the elder statesman that as long as City are good, he is going to be the guy they roll out. He has a chance to become, I don't know, as long as he keeps battling with Roy Keane, they have this bromance of like sad, miserable fucking Irish bastard and like effervescent young guy who lost his career at 30 years old. Who they all make fun of. But Roy Keane is like the king of cliches. He's just like, oh, enough for me. I don't want people smiling at each other. I'm like, what the fuck what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I mean, the best we have is like we have Carragher and Neville. That's Neville. The best.
Absolutely. Until Neville decides to go golfing for a documentary with Harry fucking Kane. But
listen, his show's good. Okay.
I'm not saying that it's not. And that's the thing is that like that felt lazy in the sense that like, everybody since 2015 is like, oh, is Harry Kane too big for Tottenham? He's got to leave to get trophies. All of those talking points that have basically been
because
out every
because you don't have the 60 years of history that people who are at Tottenham leave, right?
Okay, fine. I do.
Right.
Believe me, by now I have it. Okay,
it's Bale, it's Berbatov, it's Modric,
Sheringham,
and down and down and down.
Yeah, of course. Right. Yeah, of course. But like I understand, but how somebody over the Pochettino era wasn't like how there wasn't a viral clip of somebody like a Neville or like a Carragher smacking the table going, these guys are so goddamn fun. What the fuck are you doing, Levy? Like absolutely bonkers, right? Like that would have been, first of all, must see television.
Yeah.
You would get everybody to enjoy that. And I think it's the risk aversion from like, I guess from the network's part, but like you become just the boring white guy who
Well,
just.
who's your legend, the older guy who almost died?
Glenn Hoddle.
Right, he's the one who's supposed to be there talking up Spurs.
Yeah, but everybody sort of tunes him out. The big moment from him was him with Rio Ferdinand, and
almost dying.
Who else?
Yeah.
Almost dying when
Are you okay? Scores, Are you okay?
Which, by the way, yesterday,
with
3
Gary
years
Lineker.
ago,
I know.
3 years ago, it was the miracle in Amsterdam, which is wild. Yeah, right. And Gary Lineker,
because he was wheezing. He was wheezing. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But we have to get back to our season. We have a relegation battle that is showing its true colors, and the numbers are actually bearing out. What's interesting about this relegation battle now is the actual underlying numbers are now bearing out in terms of which team should go down, right? Everton were always too good to go down. They had the best XG differential at -10. The next up was Burnley at -16. It's literally in order. Everton on -10, Burnley on -16, Leeds on -22, Watford -24, and Norwich on -39. So the actual underlying numbers are now predicting which teams are going to go down. And I have a feeling, as much as I really do love Leeds, I think they're done. They're going to need, I just think Burnley are better. Burnley are healthy. Leeds are really injured. Erling's red card, 2-footed into.
So tough.
He misses the rest of the season.
Yeah.
That's a 3-game match ban. They're gone. Raphael hasn't scored a goal in a month. They're fighting everyone. They don't have enough bodies right now. They're trying to play Gelhardt up front. He's just 20 years old, just turned 20. They just don't have enough players. They have the look and feel of a team that's going down. And I think, they had the bump with Marsh and they got to 35, but I think they kind of blew their load, and that they were really like, can we, 35 is all right, isn't it? Is it? I don't know, right? Like, even if they get one more win, like one more win would be reasonable, but Burnley's going to get one more win, right? Like, they're running out of games to get points, and if they both stay where they are, they go down. So they really need to kind of win 2.
So I'm looking at the interesting things that Burnley play Leeds and Everton in their final 2 games.
Yeah.
So they have a massive part to play in all this. And the interesting thing
has Leeds?
Burnley, I believe so.
No way.
I'm sorry. I keep doing that shit. Brentford, excuse me.
Yes.
Brentford play Everton. Sorry about that. Brentford play Everton on Sunday, and then they finish up at home against Leeds. And the funny thing, I just looked it up, because
Burnley are the ones who play Villa twice in like
suspicion,
3 days.
Okay, so this isn't exact numbers here, but I was wondering how motivated are Burnley to finish in the top half. And so I looked up last season's or after the 2021 season. So these numbers are not exact, but the 10th place team, Everton, got 138, almost 139 million euros or pounds, I should say, for finishing in that spot. And the 11th place, Aston Villa, got 122. So that's a big gap, right? Like, that's actually bigger than the gap between.
You're talking about the money for where you place?
Yeah. So I'm like,
that matters for sure.
Yeah. For a team like that, right? So like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, you're 1 point off of top half of the table, and you've got 2 winnable games. Not that I think Brentford would mail it in or whatever, right? But like, there's so much congestion between 10 and 14 that gap is really, really sizable. Again, like, we're talking $30 million basically.
Yeah, between 10th and 15th, it's between 40 and 45 points. I feel like Brighton are pretty safe up where they are, but yeah,
more than likely. But so that's my point. Like, I'm thinking that Brentford are going to have something to play for. Maybe not quite as much as Everton and Leeds, but I was curious looking into that. Like, how much do they really care? And then I was like, oh right, they're run by gamblers.
I don't care.
No, but I'm trying to find an angle, right?
You can't translate that to the players. The players
no,
know they're
necessarily,
safe.
But like,
the existential crisis of dropping out of the league is not.
You could transfer it to the players directly. Actually,
now, you
could literally transfer it.
Yeah, but you can literally, like, you're going to cut your wages in half. So you do. So Burnley plays Tottenham and Villa again, and then Newcastle. They probably have the toughest run in, I'd say, right? Tottenham, Villa, Newcastle.
Yeah.
And then Leeds has Chelsea,
Leeds, Brighton, and Brentford.
and Brentford. Ooh, that's tough. They're both tough.
No, I think that's yeah.
Well, here's the thing. They have Brighton at home, which is good because that Ellen Road game is massive.
That's for all their marbles, really. And then Everton's only got 2 left.
Everton have 3 games.
They have
4 games left.
That's right. Well, they play Watford tomorrow, and this was the game that we said at the beginning before we really pulled Leeds back into this. It was Watford play Everton and Burnley, and Burnley got that dramatic win. Can Everton go on the road and get the win? If they can.
The thing is, they got 2 wins we didn't see. That Chelsea and Leicester wins, those are tremendous, right? Like, we thought they were going to go down when they lost 3-2 to Burnley, but then they beat United. They draw against Leicester. They play really well against Liverpool, but don't win. And then they beat Chelsea and Leicester. Those were, they hung on.
Yeah.
They did win the
XG. But then they beat Chelsea. Holy shit.
Huge. Yeah, that was the big one. And now they've, you'd expect them to beat Watford. And if they beat Watford, they're safe. They can there's almost no way that they can be caught.
Well, the thing is that this has taken so many turns at this point. I'm not willing to say anything yet. Right?
Listen, they can get to 40 easy.
But what we will know by the next time we're on the air is Everton and Watford. Will Everton be on 35, 36, or 38? And it feels like if they're on 38, like you said, they should be free and clear. But there's still 9 points out there for both Burnley and Leeds. That's
the
math.
They're getting 9.
I know that, but we've said this before and been wrong. So,
well, I mean, I'm gonna keep being wrong. I just think
you know what? I admire your confidence in.
At this point, as much as I like Leeds, and I think it's sad that they're going to go down, I don't have faith in them because of the injuries of where they are. There's nowhere that their goals are coming from. Their emotional leader, Erling, just basically said, "You know what, guys, you guys are going down without me." And he took himself out, basically.
Yeah.
And they don't have anyone left.
So
they're just running out of guys.
5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, we'll have a really good idea because Leeds will have played Chelsea as well, more or less simultaneously. And so if Leeds can, frankly, pull an Everton, well, Burnley, you're up, right?
Well, I mean, and then that goes back up to the top. Then Chelsea really get pulled in. They'll probably finish 4th, but they're really slipping. Arsenal could finish the season in 3rd. That would be an amazing accomplishment. I mean, I thought I was being crazy when I put Arsenal in 5th at the start of the season, and that was based on they had a good defense. But to get Arsenal into the 3rd spot, that is, is Mikel Arteta coach of the year? I know it'll be City or Liverpool will get it themselves, but I mean, to finish 4th, to finish 3rd, where Chelsea were after 10 games, where we were like, oh my God, this team's winning the fucking league.
Yeah.
But now to see them where they are, and that brings us into, can your spoiling, destroying team who plays negative football and tries to ruin everyone's joy, can you take on Arsenal and shut them down? I think you can. I think frankly, you're completely set up to beat them.
It's so frustrating because here's how it's more than likely going to play out. Arsenal are finally going to bring their sorry asses back into our side of North London because if you remember,
I know
Mikel Arteta can't wait to play this game. Oh, now he can't wait to play. But despite the fact that he had no COVID cases in January, he had no interest in playing it then. You fucking chicken liver little shit. So I'm not concerned at all. I think if you look to a man, I wouldn't take anybody from Arsenal's front 3. I wouldn't probably take anybody from Tottenham's midfield unless Skip magically is healthy. But I think,
but you know who Arsenal's midfield is? It's Xhaka and El Neni,
right?
Who are
it's
just
not like it's good.
They're kicking ass, which is amazing.
Wow, I mean, it's sort of a ticking time bomb at the same time.
The one you take is Odegaard. He's the one. You got to sick.
No. What I'm saying is,
you got to put Højbjerg on him and kick him.
Yeah. What I was just saying, and I don't really enjoy the combined XI things, but like it's the front 3 for Spurs, Son, Kane, and Kulusevski. The midfield 3 is probably all Arsenal. I would go Odegaard, Xhaka, and El Neni, maybe even Smith Rowe. And then the back 4, probably Tomiyasu on the right. Both, Romero's in it.
Yes.
So Tierney on the left, I guess.
Tierney hasn't played, is out.
Yeah,
So
no, I know.
Your guys will make. By the way, my boy, one of my sons, Sessegnon, looking much better.
Conte's a big believer in him. He had a good, I guess, audition early on in the Conte era, and then he got hurt. He's been back. He's been good.
Oh, well, remember the last Liverpool game, he shut down Salah.
That's right. That's right.
I saw a picture of got to work on his crossing.
It was a Mo Salah heat map, and it was just a picture of Ryan Sessegnon's pocket.
You know what it is? He's athletic.
He's very athletic. But so I really don't think we'll have much of a problem with Arsenal on Thursday. Now, there's an super important caveat here. It's not going to matter. It's not, because we're going to beat them. We're going to go even further high above them in goal difference, but we're still going to be 1 point behind them. And the last two matches of the season are Newcastle for them, which they could lose. They could lose against Newcastle and Everton, which they're going to beat the doors off of them.
Yeah, but you don't know the psychological effect for Arsenal is a fragile team. Like, they lose games and they fucking don't recover, right?
Okay.
Like, they lost to Palace and then they lost 2 more, right? Like,
if Mikel Arteta is anywhere close to Coach of the Year, what he will say is that fucking sucked. They smacked us around. We'll talk about what we did wrong, but boys, let me be very clear about something. We win 2. Fuck them. It doesn't matter, right? Yeah. So that's really they have to win 2 of 3. And if they win on Saturday or Sunday, whenever it is, it's Thursday. What the fuck's wrong with me? When they win on Thursday, it's over. Right. So they're not going to
Arsenal win. It's over. Right.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's interesting for Arsenal is their core players do come from the academy, and they are a less disciplined team than Spurs. And I think if Spurs can shithouse this thing, and I know Romero and Højbjerg are quite good at this, and I would call on Mora to play in this game instead of Kulusevski, just because he has the history. Agree. Just because he has the history, and let Kulusevski come on late. Just let Mora play, because Mora kind of has a needle in him. He runs past people. He does weird shit.
There's a way you can get them both on the field. You put Mora at right wing back. Is he not better than Emerson Royal? Okay.
No, that guy stinks. I can't stand him. But I do think that would be the thing to look for Arsenal. Can you rattle Xhaka? Can you rattle if Smith Rowe plays?
It's a good shout. Can
you rattle the young players or Ramsdale, who's a fucking maniac? Yeah. Like, how do you get? And Conte will think of this because he's a sick fuck. How do you get Arsenal to get off their game and fuck up? Because they have it in them, right? El Neni's a pro. He'll sit tight. But Xhaka got sent off. He's always sent off in this game. It's a fucking disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think their last 4 or 5 of these are draws. But this is your season, right? This is it. You've got to win.
Got to win. We've got to win out, and we've got to hope that Arsenal drop one more, not even a loss, just a draw against either Newcastle or Everton. And again, Newcastle can pip them. Absolutely. And as you said, after a demoralizing what would be then loss in the North London derby, they could be licking their wounds. Then Newcastle would be the perfect team for that spot in that game right after it. But it bothers me that down the stretch, Spurs are playing so well, and as much as you want to blame the the Nuno era on this season, and the fact that we're in the top 4 race is frankly miraculous, but there's just so many games,
this
where
is
you just were listless.
The thing is, this is all because United are fucking awful.
Well, close. Yes, no, I don't disagree with that. And by the way, by now they'd be in third with Chelsea's current form. Yeah. But it's the at the end of the day, the difference right now is the not just the fact that you didn't have any shots on goal against Brentford or Brighton, but you couldn't even keep Brighton on the board at the death. And that point is the difference right now.
Well, and the other one, here's the things I think about, and this blew my mind. I was looking it up. I was like, you got 8 points against Liverpool and Manchester City and lost twice to the worst United team in 35 years. That just sort of sums up your season, right? You beat Man United and then lose to Burnley. Like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
That's just stuff you can't do, right? Or you kill Everton and then lose to United. And then you have that nice run where you're scoring goals like crazy, and then they just vanish
Yep.
Like the Brighton and Brentford game. You're like, where the fuck did everything go? Like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Whereas,
when I look at the results, I'm trying to see what the biggest regret game I have this year.
The Burnley game is
Southampton 3-2 to Southampton was just brutal.
Oh, that's the one where they came back in the second half.
2 goals from the 80th minute on to go from 2-1 up to 3-2 down. That one was that one sucked. That was pretty rough. But yeah, I mean, and there's so many moments across the season. The Stevie Bergwijn heroics in the 90th minute against Leicester that basically sort of kickstarted the, hey, maybe we have a shot at this sort of thing. We got 1 point for Southampton this year. And that was the other one right before New Year's, granted festive period. So I understand, but they played with a red card for like 55 minutes and we couldn't get anything out of that. That one sucked. This is
your life. This is your season.
This is what it's like, folks. This is what it's like.
This is what happens.
A 0-0 to Everton, also who had a red card.
Oh God!
I drank my sorrows away on that. I don't even remember that game.
It's so funny. You could just see this. You just read the scores and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Although I don't remember this 1-0 to West Ham. Oh yeah, you had a terrible record in London. You basically anytime you played in London, you lost.
Mm-hmm. Which whatever, like that's a cup final for them. I understand it. It is what it is. Like, man. But the Brighton one is going to go down as the difference. Especially, by the way, 30 days before this, at the Amex, we played them off the park. It was a 2-0 sound ass kicking, and Graham Potter went to school that day, and he went not again, and full marks to him. But it wasn't even that.
Is that the one where they booed Potter and were like, "Get out of our club"?
I think so.
And he was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you people?" He's like, "I'm the greatest manager your club has ever had." So, are you fucking crazy?
If we've still got any Liverpool fans with us, what I'll say is this: we will do a full diagnostic on Tottenham's season, and we'll put it on. We'll put the video of it on the internet. You'll get to. I'll look right in the camera, right? You'll see my face contort. And it'll look like I'm having a stroke. By the end of that episode, I'll have Bell's palsy because I'll just be fucking so miserable. The bitter beer face commercials from the 90s of every time Spurs left 2 or 3 points on the board. And they are many. They are many as I look back.
I'll cue the bad Italian music. And news from Serie A. Tell us what's happening.
Oh my God, my other loves. Oh, this one hurt.
From the bottom of the Serie A table.
This one really, really hurt.
What happened?
Well, okay, so Salernitana is just scrapping, fighting to stay above the relegation zone.
Fighting Salernos.
The fighting Salernos, which, by the way, if there was ever a term, that would be perfectly suited. As I load the table now, I'm not sure if Cagliari has played their 36
Oh no, you are on 36 games. You are 1 point above the drop.
So we're even on games, but now we're 1 point above the drop. But the problem is Cagliari plays Venezia still. And the last 2 games for Salernitana are very winnable, and one of Cagliari's is against Inter. They're going to get smoked. But the 2 just played this past Sunday. And it was awesome. The place was bumping. The Cagliari had it looked like one of your San Diego Loyal groups. Like there was 50 Cagliari fans, and then the whole place is going crazy. But you could tell the whole stand behind one of the nets is meant to be for the away section, so they didn't sell any of those tickets. But the rest of the place is going nuts.
So tell me about the Frank Ribery red along with the Boris.
Yeah, no. This game popped off. This game got nuts. There was a controversial penalty given to Salernitana in the 65th
legend,
or so
Simone
minute.
Verdi, who we know is a legend.
And Simone Verdi, which, by the way, if my name in Italian is basically green, does that make me Jewish? I was wondering that during the game. Anyway, Verdi pots it. Place goes crazy. They're up 1-0. And then they sort of bunker, and it's and right after the goal, it all pops off though. And basically it's just the benches all just start almost fighting. And out of nowhere, Frank Ribery's like, fuck you. Who, by the way, of France glory, right?
Oh, the he's like an all-time legend.
He's like a Bayern Munich coming legend. Off the bench. He gets a red card.
The reverse wingers of Robin and Ribery. They played on a wing, but played on the inside.
Yes. So he's must be wasted. He's got too much wine in his system. He goes fucking nuts. They give him a straight red, so he's got to go.
But he's not playing.
No, he wasn't playing.
Oh, okay.
It was
so
off
he's
the
just
bench.
Gone. Oh, okay.
So from that point, and I think Cagliari's players, like there was like 7 or 8 players on yellow cards. They're fighting back. There's another controversial penalty with the goalkeeper in the 92nd or so minute. I'm sorry, just before extra time, as my battery goes to die.
Oh, that's Boris Radnovic. He's the keeper.
Into extra time. Yes.
Oh, he's a big fucker.
They have a lengthy VAR review. They call it no penalty. Cagliari can't believe it. And in the 101st minute, after 9 additional minutes were added on, one last kick at the can, one last corner kick. Cagliari pots brutal. It. The air comes out of the stadium in Salerno.
I didn't even notice that Altari scored that late. They have it here at the 90+9. Wow.
Bullshit. It was 101. Yeah, that was demoralizing. That game would not have mathematically seen them up, but it would have effectively, as soon as Inter beat Cagliari, it would have sealed their fate. So, yeah, still squeaky bum time for the fighting Salernos, but we're hanging on, man. We're hanging on.
You're unbeaten in your last 6.
Which, by the way, I mean, we're doing a Leicester currently. We were left for dead, and we're shooting up to just keep our heads above water. And then next year we'll win Serie A at 5,001 underdog. But Empoli and Udinese they're beatable teams, right? They're beatable teams. So my hope is that you get 1 win, and that's enough. Because even if you draw twice, if Cagliari beats Venezia, that'll be enough to take them over because they do not have the tiebreaker on goal difference. So,
right, it's head to head, right?
Yeah, no. It's goal difference. So, and they're minus. They have the worst goal difference.
No. They don't do goal difference. I think they do head to head. They have a different tiebreaker. Yes, you might have to look at that.
We will look at that. We'll report back. But I'm pretty sure the other game against Cagliari was a win. It was also a 1-1 draw. So who the fuck knows? They're just gonna play. They're going to do consecutive sack races on Sundays until somebody's determined.
I'm sure it's like based on how much money you gave to the last referee who refereed your game.
Yeah. And considering Salernitana was just sold for like €35, not much. Yeah.
Let's wrap this sucker up.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
All right. That was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike and Laurent. We record on Tuesdays and Fridays, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're listening on Apple, please rate and review the show so we can reach more people, because we need more people who like us, because there's not many.